Good morning, May class, and welcome to your next computing lesson. So in the previous lesson, we were looking at peer pressure, and we were looking at the fact that sometimes peer pressure can be bad and sometimes peer pressure can be good. So we're moving on today, and we are going to be looking at the following. So we're going to be looking at understanding how the internet is used for messaging. So I know that we already have a bit of experience with this in that we use our Teams calls. You've got the messaging service there where you can type in some messages, you type in some of your answers, and obviously I'm able to see them and I'm able to help you with your work. So today our LO is, can I understand how the internet is used for messaging? So one thing we always need to remember when we are looking at learning how to message online and all that kinds of thing, we need to remember that if you find something online that you find concerning or you are worried about it, talk to a trusted adult. So straight away, go and tell an adult, or you can always call Childline as well, and the number's on there for you. So that is, if there's anything that concerns you, you can do that. Right, I want you to pause the video now and have a look at this poster. So this is a poster from the 1940s. So quick maths, who can tell me quickly how long ago that was? Right, if it was the 1940s, it was 61 years ago. No, 60 would take us to 2000 and it's 2020, so 81 years ago. So I want you to think, what is the purpose of this poster? It says Dr. Carrot, the children's best friend. And you've got the carrot dancing. There's a picture of the carrot. He's dancing. He's got his little box, that's his suitcase that says Vit A, so vitamin A. So what do you think the purpose of this video was? And what effect do you think it had on children in the 1940s? So give the video a pause and give that a think. Okay, so think about, what do you think the posters were used for? 81 years ago was a very long time ago, and there's a lot of things that children in the 1940s didn't have that we have now. So what do you think the purpose of posters like this were? Another thing you can think about is the following. How do you think this poster was made? What materials and machines do you think were used? And how long would it have taken for 1,000 people to see it? So you've got to think back to when different machines were made and how they were shared, and how posters are made now versus how you think they were made in the 1940s. How was this poster made? And how long do you think it would have taken for 1,000 people to have seen this poster? In the 1940s, it would have been quite difficult to have created and shared these kinds of posters, because it was unlikely that everyone could have made posters, because people needed access to specific machines and materials to make posters like this. And they were very expensive machines that were used to make the posters, and often, obviously, then everyday people couldn't get hold of them, and it was hard to then produce and distribute them, which means to give them out. So it would have taken, for a poster like this to be seen by 1,000 people, it would have taken a very long time. So today we're going to look at how we send messages today. So how do we see things? How do we pass on messages from one person to another? So before we start, I want you to list ways that we can send each other messages today. So give yourself a minute. I'm going to do it with you and write down some ideas. Right, off you go. All right, I've written down a few. Okay, put your pencils down. Let's see if yours match some of mine. So these are the majority of the ways that people send messages nowadays. And these are a lot of the ones I've written. So I've written WhatsApp, you've got Facebook Messenger, you've got messages, so sending SMSs. There's all kinds of social media apps where people share information with each other and share messages with each other. So when it comes to sharing news or sharing information, we now live in an age, or we live at a time when being able to share information with each other is almost an instant thing. So I can instantly send a message on our Teams chat and say, have you all done the work for today? And it'll come up immediately wherever you are in the world, and you will be able to see it and you'll be able to reply. And I want you to think back about that poster that we were looking at, the one previously, about Dr. Carrot. And this was probably something to do with sharing information about staying healthy and healthy eating, making sure that you were getting all your vitamins. And to be able to share something like this, like we said, was a lot harder because you had to print it out, you had to have the materials, you had to have the machines. You would then have put the poster up somewhere for somebody to see, and then it wouldn't have reached 1,000 people as quickly as it would now if we were just going to take a picture and send it through. So the speed of messages today are exactly like we said. So today I can write a message, I can click send, and then it can be seen by 1,000 people in 10 minutes. Probably less depending on how many people we send it to. So if you've been keeping track of our YouTube channel has over 1,000 views on it. If you give me a minute, I will go and look and see if I can share that with you. Okay, so I'm actually able to check it, and since March last year we've had 318,439 views on our YouTube channel, and that is an awful lot if you think about it. And if we compare the speed that a message is sent nowadays to the 1940s, let's have a look. So in the 1940s, you would have written your message, you would have then had to send it to the printer or the post office, and let's say it takes about a day or two to get it to the post office, depending where you live. Then that message needs to travel to where it needs to go. So from the printers to where we're going to put the posters up, and then it would need to be displayed on the walls. Or the newspaper would have put it in their newspaper. And then you would have seen that actually to get 1,000 people to see it would have taken a fair few amount of days. It wouldn't have just been a 10-minute thing where we send it out and you can see it. It would have taken a few days for it to be printed and then sent to where it needs to be and then displayed. And then the people walking past it maybe would have seen it, or if you bought a newspaper and you picked up a newspaper, and you would have seen it there. So why is this so important? So in the 1940s, what happened to the messages? So they probably, once we'd finished with our message, they were just thrown away. So if it was printed in newspaper, the newspapers then you would have read your newspaper, then you would have thrown it away. Today online, our messages and things that we send over the internet are always going to be there. There's always some kind of trace of them. So I want you to think why that's important when we come to internet safety. Why is it important to remember that not everything we say online just disappears, that it's still there? Okay. And I would like you to make a poster that shows how quick messages can be sent today online, So think about how we discussed how if we want to send messages to you on Teams, we can send it and it's there almost immediately. In the 1940s, obviously, there was a whole process of sending messages. And I want you to think about writing an online guide as your second challenge when it comes to posting messages online. What should we be careful of? Remembering that actually anything that we put online can always stay there. It's very difficult to get rid of something online. There's always going to be a trace of it. And then I would like you as a third challenge to write down a comparison. So to compare how messages are sent now and how messages were sent in the 1940s. Don't forget to share this with us on Tapestry. Please make sure to upload your work by by 4 o'clock this afternoon.